Ready.
Okay, we're going to touch real quick on OSHA-approved eyewash stations. So, OSHA-approved safety items are near and dear to my heart. Unfortunately, many years ago, I went through an OSHA inspection. It was a building that I was working with a group that just acquired it. I'll be honest, this building was a train wreck. OSHA happened to come in. We'd only been affiliated with the location for a couple of weeks. We absolutely got hammered on all things OSHA. OSHA doesn't just come in, slap you on the wrist and say, please fix it. OSHA comes in and kicks you in the shin, hands you a big fine and says you must fix it. So rather than wait on OSHA to come in and tell us to fix these things, let's be proactive and let's get ahead of the game. One of the biggest pet peeves that I have when it comes to OSHA approval is eyewash stations. It's really frustrating to me that people put things on the market and they try to make you believe that it is OSHA approved. I've actually even seen in some catalogs it will say OSHA approved eyewash stations, and they're just simply not. The two biggest culprits that are done that's wrong all the time are the bottles. We've all seen them, the green plastic pieces that hang on the wall and you got a squirt bottle, okay? It'll say eyewash station. The problem with that, and the part of the code that does not meet, the code clearly says that it must be hooked to a continuous water source, okay? We all know a bottle of water is not a continuous water source. We only have what's in the bottle. When that's gone, we're done. We have no more. Another, one of the widespread misuses of an OSHA eyewash stations, and we've all seen the ones that screw on to the end of the sink. This one doesn't have one, but they'll screw on right here, and they got the little pin, and you pull the pin, they've got the two little nozzles, and they squirt up, okay? Technically, it's an eyewash station. You can wash your eyes in there, but it's not OSHA approved, okay? So now you may be saying, well, it's a continuous water source. Why is that not? I get why the bottle's not a continuous water source. That is a continuous water source. The reason that is not OSHA approved is it also says it must be a single action. So think about that. You just have chemicals in your eyes. You was filling your mop bucket. You was just getting ready to do dishes. Whatever it may be, some chemicals splashed in your eyes. Your vision's blurred. You may be in a little bit of a panic. You can't really see where you're going. The last thing that you need to do is have to go turn on water, adjust water, pull pins, do all of these other things to try to make sure that you get the chemical out of your eyes. So one other thing that OSHA eyewash station talks about is it talks about the water has to be tempered, okay? We can't have 40-degree water in the winter, freezing your eyes. And we also, like today's example, we're in a kitchen. We can't have, the water in this kitchen may very well be 160 degrees on the hot side. We don't want 160-degree water in our eyes either, so that's just gonna add to the issues and the concerns we have. So that water needs to be tempered. It has to be a continuous water source, and it has to be single action, okay? We have an example of a perfect setup right here, okay? This valve is hooked to a tempering device. We have tempered water. It is coming out in the neighborhood of 90 to 100 degrees, and we're gonna show you what a single action eyewash station is, okay? So we talked earlier, put yourself in that situation. You just have chemicals in your eyes. You're maybe in a little bit of a panic. I gotta get my eyes washed out. Makes perfect sense, single action. So I come to this station, I can barely see, as something as simple as one action, single. There's my in a perfect angle. All I do then is put my eyes in and I rinse my eyes to get rid of the chemical. So, great example of meeting code, single action eyewash station connected to tempered water and a non-stop or a continuous water source. One of the other questions may be, all right, Mitch, how many of those do I need? Okay, code says that you need a single action eyewash station within 100 feet or 10 seconds of travel of anywhere you use corrosive chemicals. For the most part, in the senior living space, the only place that we use corrosive chemicals may be here in the dish room. It's probably going to be in your mop rooms or possibly in your laundry room. For the most part, that's where we use our chemicals, okay? So you can look on the side of your containers. I don't have a container in here, but we all know the logo for corrosive chemicals. It'll say right on the side of your container, corrosive. If you have corrosive chemicals 100 feet away, you must have one of these. The good thing is, the three areas that we just named are where we typically would need a single action eyewash station, a laundry, a dish room, or a kitchen. All of those have water. These single action eyewash stations can be fairly easily hooked up. And, clearly you're not going to have a sink like this in a laundry room or in a dish room, but in your, in your mop room, you do typically have a mop sink. In your laundry, you do typically have a sink to wash your hands. They're fairly easy to hook up, okay? So, do an audit of your building, make sure that you have these everywhere that they're needed. One last clarification that I want to mention. You may say, what's the difference of 100 feet and 10 seconds of travel? The 10 seconds of travel rule is put in just in case you have multiple locked doors. So think about that. I may have my corrosive chemical, let's say it's right here, okay? This eyewash station may be on the other side of that door. But in order for me to get to that door, I have to go through this locked door, the second locked door, the third locked door, all while fighting possibly chemicals in my eye. Clearly that's not a good situation. So they added the 10 seconds of travel to where we can't just say 100 feet away, because we could basically come here, stretch it 100 feet, say I meet code, but you're missing the intent of the code. The intent of the code is to give your staff members easy access. Heaven forbid they get chemicals in their eye, they have easy access to these stations. So, very key, you can avoid fines. We went over all of this again. If you've got the type that you turn the water faucet on, pull the pin, please get rid of them. They don't meet code, they're just no good whatsoever. The bottles hanging on the wall, again, they don't meet code, they're no good whatsoever. This type here, you can buy them for anywhere between 100 and 300 bucks. And you could possibly save one of your staff members' vision, save them some pain, and also prevent yourself from having to pay some very costly OSHA fines. Okay, continuing our topic of eyewash stations. We've already discussed single action eyewash stations, okay? The building we're in today happens to be a slightly newer building. This is a perfect example of an OSHA-approved single eyewash station, okay? We talked about it earlier. I've got chemicals in my eyes. I can't really afford to go be turning valves and pulling pins and doing all these multiple things. Single action, okay? Perfect design for single action eyewash station. Your staff should be trained on where all of these are located. They should be trained on how to come and use them. They're for the most part, they're foolproof. The staff just needs to know they're here. So think through this. Happens to be you filling a mop bucket. Something flips, it tips. We got chemicals now that come up in your eye. I'm in pain, really can't see well, and I gotta go wash out my eyes. Look how convenient this is for cleaning out your eyes. Single action, one pull, boom, I've pulled it down. There's my water, this is my drain. Now all of a sudden it's easily available for me to put my eyes, wash my eyes out. Now all of a sudden that I'm seeing things and I'm doing all right, I just put that unit back up. Perfect example of a single action eyewash station. It's in a newer building. You're not gonna find those in your older buildings. And by all means, you're not gonna go retrofit your building and put one of these in. There's far more cost-effective ways to achieve the single action eyewash station. But again, perfect example of newer building, great way to have safety for your staff that have to deal with those corrosive chemicals.